Buckle up, buttercup.
Hi, could I get one McDouble, no pickle, no onion?
Okay.
Actually, could I make that 37?
38 McDoubles?
37.
36?
37.
37?
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Bro, we gotta pass these out. It's our McDuty.
Spread the McLove. You're changing McLife.
You guys want a McDouble?
Yes, sir!
You got?
Dude, this guy's high.
He loves it.
Thanks, guys. It's my McPleasure. You want a McDouble? I got a bunch of them.
He's like trying to run a marathon or something. Why would he take McDouble? Come on.
It's not supposed to do that.
This is the old LS7. I'm gonna take that home with me. These are all my old pistons and everything. I mean, in theory, these are good, but we're probably not gonna reuse them for anything. Beefy boys, Texas speed and performance, forged internals. There it is, baby, let's go! 1,012 horsepower. I'm so excited to have this car back.
You're gonna get in so much trouble in this car, dude. You're so.
This car is so much fun.
It is fun.
But you're gonna go to jail. And when you do, call me first. You get one phone call.
One call.
That'll be me.
That was a pretty inopportune time to speed up to 120 miles an hour. I'm gonna be towing the car.
Homie out here to the full extent of the law. First possible case scenario.
What happened?
I goofed.
McDouble's down. How fast were you? Did they say?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay. Right. You're
Yeah.
going to Mexican 55.
Oh! Let's go! Do I look like Yzma? Pull the lever, Crump! Realistically, I should be pulling the wheel and tire off, but I'm like, you know, we're not gonna do that. This is amateur hour. Dude, this just turned out so much better than I could have ever expected. Look at this car, bro. A lot of you guys saw I took the RX-7 out for a track day and I had so much fun. I had an absolute blast in the RX-7. It absolutely ripped. And I kind of decided at that moment that I really want a track build. This car makes 1,000 wheel horsepower. It's wide body. It's got a built motor. It's got like a race like camber kit on it. And funny enough, for all those reasons, that's why I started thinking, man, maybe this would be sick as a track car. Now, I've been talking to you guys for a while about the idea, the possibility of turning the C6 into a track car. Well, that's been going swimmingly. I've been so stoked to get the car out on the track. It feels like it's where it belongs. That car's gone through so many different phases. The 700 horsepower version when I first bought it out in Tennessee. Then we blew up the motor, rebuilt it back up, bigger Pro Charger, made 1,000, and it was a stupid straight line car. Now it's in its third and what I think is the final stage, the track monster. I bet you've been wondering where I've been.
Car is absolutely toast, and I'm not exactly sure what to do about that. So what made the most sense, I was gonna own it, and I put it on a shirt. So if you guys want to support the rebuild with me, you can snag one of these at the link below. Every dollar from the shirts will go directly into the build. So leave a comment below about which track car you think we should build next. But I'm guessing you're all wondering what happened. And I wouldn't be a YouTuber if I didn't have a video of it. So this is also all I have left of the car. So it's like my third session of the lap. Tires are warm. It's like 90 something degrees outside, and I'm feeling really good. I'm getting all my braking points dialed in. I'm figuring out exactly like what entry and exit speed I want for each corner. And I come to the last corner before the straight. This is turn 23, also known as release. So I'm braking to the corner. I didn't rotate the car quite well enough on entry, making me miss the apex just barely, and I track out just a little bit too far into the curbing on exit, and I just lose it. At this point, there's only one thing running through my mind. That did not just happen. That did not just happen. I literally could not believe it. And I'm so sorry that the camera cuts out here. The force of the impact completely cut the video, and that's all I have of the actual incident itself. You can see my corner exit speed was about 75 miles an hour, and I was able to slow the car down to about 60 before hitting the wall nearly head on. And I've never been in a car accident where I was the driver before, especially not something like that intense. Like literally the steering wheel is bent. So I'm sitting in the car, windshield wipers are going off. I literally can't believe it. And immediately I noticed my back and my legs starting to hurt. But I think I'm fine. Turns out I wasn't, but we'll get to that later. I can't believe that just happened. Oh my God.
Hey friend, you're gonna have to go in with us, okay? We just gotta check you out.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys better be good.
I feel fine.
All right, we're gonna hop in on you, okay?
Okay.
How you feel?
Oh my gosh. It's still so nuts to me that this at one point was my car. This was McDouble. This was my pride and joy. It's so sad when I was putting together that first whole segment of the video, from like the day I picked it up and then all like the adventures we had in it until now, it made it so sad to just think about what I lost. Like this car is no more. Here's one of the coilovers that somehow got thrown off into the abyss. I don't know what to do all this stuff. It feels wrong to throw it away, but at the same time, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. All right, well, we're getting the exclusive access. We're in the trusty CRV because it's the most comfortable car that I own and one of the only cars I feel like I can drive with my injuries. But this is actually the exact corner that I crashed in. So this is turn 23, also known as release. We're right about at the apex right here. And this is where I was coming hot out of this corner. It's so crazy and it's so surreal to be out here. Because I've been out on the track on foot before, but never looking at the leftover carnage of what was hopefully my last serious incident. But the way that they design these racetracks has a lot to do with how somebody might crash. Meaning you can go one of three ways. You can go straight, which is ideal. I didn't do that. You can go left, or you can go right. So typically look at a corner and think, okay, how might somebody crash here? If they go to the left, which is probably more likely. If they're carrying too much speed here, they dip a tire into the dirt, the car continues going this way, you run into the first type of wall. They typically use this like really deep, heavy gravel to try to slow the car down as much as possible. And then you have what is called the tire wall. And this is used obviously to absorb as much of the impact as possible. And if I had gone this way, if I had hit this wall, my car probably would have been much less damaged, and my body also probably would have been much less damaged. But you can see how soft this stuff is. You can definitely run into this thing and not get as injured. And then obviously they have the fencing up here just in case it's like an ultra high speed crash and the car doesn't flip over the wall. So that's if you go left, and that's the first type of wall. I went right, which is probably the worst way to go because they don't necessarily anticipate that somebody is going to crash into this wall. It's much more likely you're going to crash into that wall. So again, there are my tire marks. You can see all four of them right here. And I dip into this not soft gravel, but this hard packed gravel. This is not necessarily meant to slow you down. This is just kind of area to just have around the racetrack. And then you have what is not a tire wall, but the second kind of wall, which they refer to as the Armco. And this is made of complete steel. This thing is meant to be immovable. It's literally just meant to keep cars from that side of the track. And you can see we left a fine imprint in this massive hunk of steel. We pushed this brace back about 5 inches, going 60 miles an hour into this wall. And it's so crazy to look at how hard that impact was. It's like, it's so surreal looking at it now, and all the paint that it left on the, like, it's crazy to think like that was my car. It looks like we sliced it right there, probably with the frame rails. We left a bunch of dents and dings all along here, even dented it up on this side, bent this piece back. And the worst part is, on top of paying for the car, I also have to pay for this wall. That's kind of the racetrack policy. Once you hit the wall, it's my responsibility to make sure my car is safely equipped. It's my responsibility to make sure my car is safely driven, and it's my responsibility if I hit their wall. So that's also in the rebuild budget. But speaking of recovery, the Corvette, I think, is unrecoverable. I think it's something that can't be rebuilt. If you look at the whole front end of the car, the frame rails are literally bent sideways. The motor was literally just sitting on the ground as we were like pulling it up on the trailer. The motor was literally just dragging on the ground. So I don't think there's any hope for that car to be rebuilt. As much as it pains my heart, as much as like looking back at that whole compilation that I put at the beginning of like picking up the car and stuff, like just how like sad that was to watch, I don't think that the C6 is salvageable. So on the note of recovery, we have a couple options. And obviously I'm in a place where I'm very heavily influenced by a certain car brand. But check out this GT4 RS that was just delivered here. These cars are so hot right now. And this one just showed up as a track weapon, being driven as exactly it was designed to do. This thing is so sick, and it makes me think a little bit about the Cayman platform. What do you guys think about it as like a potential rebuild? Obviously not a GT4 RS, I don't have $250,000, but we could do something with the Cayman platform. Also, another option is a 991 or 997 GT3. This is actually a street car. This is my buddy Jesse's car with a cup conversion on it. What if we did something like this, or something completely different? Leave some comments below, because no matter how much this sucks, this whole situation sucks, you can't let it get you down. We're gonna rebuild and we'll be back. So what happened? Like what caused the crash? And in my mind, I keep replaying this over and over and over again in my head. I've watched the video so many times, and I think there are 3 possible causes. One, if you guys know, the curbing on tracks is painted. It's a painted surface. Painted surfaces are inherently a little bit more slippery than the track surface. So I'm wondering if maybe I kicked out a little bit too wide onto the curbing. I was carrying a little bit too much speed and just lost it through that slippery curbing. I don't think that was it, but it's certainly a possible cause. Number 2 is I was really close to the edge of the track, which right there on the edge of that curbing is dirt. And dirt, in comparison to a painted surface, has 0 grip. So I don't think that happened, but it is possible that I dipped my right rear tire off, just barely oversteering into the dirt, and that caused me to spin. Or option number 3, which I think is probably the most likely, is a suspension component failure. If you guys look at my right rear wheel, look at how it's bowed out. When I got out of the car and I noticed that that right rear wheel was so far bent out, I was like so surprised, because all of the impact was just like directly on the front of the car. Like I went head on into the wall. The car didn't hit and then spin and go into the wall. Like it was literally just a head on crash. And like the impact even pushed the car back just a little bit away from the wall. But my right rear wheel, it didn't touch it whatsoever. And so that's why it was so weird to me that that right rear wheel was pushed out. It definitely wasn't the coilovers or anything like that, but I'm wondering if maybe like one of the control arms or something like that broke. Because coming out of that corner, I was doing about 75 miles an hour is like my exit speed, carrying that much lateral force out of the corner, and then jumping onto that curbing, which is not only like the painted surface like we talked about, but it has that insane like rumble strip on it. So I'm wondering if all that stress on the suspension components caused them to fail. Not to mention, my wheels are 19 by 12, -27 in the rear. So having that tire pushed out that far puts so much more stress on the internal components of the suspension. And out of those 3 possible causes of the accident, I think that one is by far the most likely. And it sucks so bad that it happened the way that it did, because going off on track or spinning is not like that uncommon. It's not like it's unheard of. It's something that's super common at the track. I was just super unlucky with how and where mine happened, because most tracks are designed with some kind of like runoff room, and especially like the corners that are a little bit more dangerous, they design like a lot of like dirt, or they put the walls as far out as they possibly can to allow some runoff room so that you don't absolutely demolish your car like I did. And funny enough, this picture on the back of these shirts, I actually texted to Zach at Hoonigan. I texted this to him like right after it happened and just kind of showed him like what had gone down. And he's like, "Oh dude, I'm so sorry." And I was talking to him a few days later, and he's like, "Dude," he's like, "we got to do some kind of like fundraiser for you or something to like support the rebuild. And I was like, I don't really feel comfortable doing like a fundraiser where I just like ask people to like donate money or that kind of thing. And he's like, bro, I have an idea. And I have to give Zach full credit for this. He's like, what if you just put that picture that you texted me onto a shirt and you sell it, and just be a good way for people to support the rebuild if they want to see that. So that's exactly what I did. And if you want to snag one of these and support the rebuild, there's a link below to grab your own. All in all, this sounds so corny. I'm just glad I'm okay. All things considered, again, I've got some pretty gnarly injuries that are going to take me a long time to recover from. But again, we'll get to that another time. That's for another video, another day in part 2. I'll see you guys there.